Thursday, June 26, 2025 transmission. And I wanted to get Errol Musk, an engineer, scientist, computer programmer, former city council member. I mean, he's done so much stuff. He's addressed Stanford and Harvard universities, debated Oxford University, a Forum for the Future 2050 in Russia to their main intelligentsia recently that I also spoke via video link to. And I aired his speech here, but also really thought it was amazing on all the different things he covered. And he's an officer commanding the 19th Electronic Warfare overall winner, SADF shooting competitions. I mean, it just goes on and on. His bio is so interesting. So we've only got, with the breaks we have, are like 45, 50 minutes to talk to him, so he can go wherever he wants. And you can't overshadow the father with the son, because it's the father that you get the son from. But I'm sure sometimes he's probably, he's a very interesting person in his own right. Always probably gets the Elon Musk questions. But I want to bring up Elon Musk later, but I just can't help it up front. I know you guys have had your differences like any father and son, but it must just still be amazing to have one of the most enigmatic maverick sons, and you're a maverick yourself, and to just watch all of this going on. It's got to be surreal. And then we'll get into all your views on space travel and AI and some of the amazing things you talked about when you were at that big conference in Russia. But just, Errol Musk, how surreal is just the year 2025 in general? Thanks for joining us.
How surreal has the year been? What is your question?
No, I'm just saying, what is it? What do you make of the world today? What's the state of the world? Is it just surreal consciousness?
Well, in many ways, I see things coming right. I see things moving in the right direction in many ways. Last year, this time, I made a couple of trips to the U.S. last year. I've got a lot of family there, and people were very despondent under the Biden time. This previous administration was basically giving people the idea they have to actually find a place to live, go away from America. They were considering leaving the country. They were semigrating from California to Texas and so on, at least. And this year, when I went, I spent the whole of April from California to Texas, and the mood was totally different. I like to say that 80% of the people, I'm supposed to say 80% of the people were very happy or behind Trump. In fact, 100% of the people that I met were very happy and feeling much better about things and very behind Trump. That was recently.
So I'd written some questions last night and, of course, forgot them on the kitchen table. And that was really my first question. Just reminded me, are you optimistic about the future as obviously a futurist and very interesting person? Are you overall optimistic, or are you negative about the future?
No, I'm optimistic. I would say that the world is waking up. A few years ago, you were a lone voice in the wilderness. Now everybody, takes your word, and people like you, and they listen because they realize that the things you were saying a few years ago are accurate, were true, and now people are much more wide awake and much more aware and it's not only the older people, even the youngsters, the 20-year-olds, the 25-year-olds, the 30-year-olds, they're aware of what of fake media, and they're aware of that they're being misled and so forth and so on. And there's quite a big divide all over the world, and people are aware between those who still don't see the picture and those who do see the picture. And the numbers that are seeing the picture now are huge. I mean, even myself, like before 10 years ago, I actually used to watch CNN, and I would watch BBC, and about 2015, I seem to remember looking at CNN and that, I thought there's something wrong with what these people are saying. Within myself, I started to say, wait, there's something wrong here. This doesn't add up, the things they're saying. And of course, slowly, we all sort of woke up. I certainly woke up to the reality, and so did Elon and Kimball, my sons, because up to that time, they considered me evil for even suggesting that Trump was a good choice, and told me to my face, that I'm an idiot, and now since then they've changed as well, and they are, apart from the recent argument between the two, the domestic quarrel that was recently between Trump and Elon, they're totally behind Trump, totally behind what's going on, and that's great.
Well, that was my first question that I forgot, and then you magically brought it up. So I'm very optimistic overall as well, because we've been so asleep for so long. Now the awakening's here, and all the kleptocratic, frozen, stagnant establishments are just in total crisis. I really think the establishment should stop fighting the will of humanity's destiny and success, and should instead try to align themselves and have a pro-human future. We have this depopulationist, transhumanist, globalist cult telling us you just roll over, the future's not human. You all know Harari, but I see humanity in the 11th hour roaring back from that. And there's so many ways to go at this. But I noticed when you were in Russia, just like Tucker said, I haven't been there, but I have people that have seen go there. They say the cities, St. Petersburg, Moscow, the nicest you've ever seen, just so innovative, so clean. And they go, oh, you're Russian agents. No, it's a fact. Now, sure, when they were under communism, it was terrible, and Boris Yeltsin came here and saw a grocery store and started crying, and that's why Tucker obviously went and pointed out, hey, it's not like that anymore. Just as an example of humanity coming back from darkness, what you not to paraphrase you said that Moscow and St. Petersburg, when you're in Russia, was one of the most, if not the most spectacular human centers you'd seen. Can you kind of repeat or expand on that?
Yes. I also, it was my first trip to Moscow, and I had in the 80s been to East Germany on business. Believe it or not, the East Germans, or DDR it used to be called, actually was prepared to sell things to South Africa at that time, and so I did see that, and it was pretty miserable in East Germany, I must say. Although the people in East Germany in those days were absolutely wonderful and good looking. I'll never forget that. And then now this trip to Moscow, I also wasn't sure what to expect. I expected a sort of miserable airport, and I expected sort of shadows and alleys and weird looking dark places. I don't know what I had in my mind. But when I got there, I couldn't believe it. The airport was staggering. Probably one of the most beautiful airports I've ever seen. The service, everything was just so good. There was just no way to put it in any other way. The two of us, I had my assistant strategist with me, Nathan Brown is a PhD in business now, and he was with me, and he was. We just couldn't believe it. And Moscow is by far the most beautiful capital city in the world. I mean, by far. We're not talking about by a little bit. It puts DC in the shade. And DC I always thought was rather nice. And certainly London is tatty by comparison. Moscow is stunning. It is so clean. And not only that, they seem to have a monopoly on good looks. Everybody is good looking. Every woman looks like a fashion model. I mean, I'm not joking. It's not like some look like a fashion model.
Oh, listen, I've watched raw footage out of Russia. I've never been there when I go. And like, you just see the people, and they're not eating GMO. They're not, it looks like the footage of 8mm people in the 50s in the U.S. It's like going back to the future. It's just, it's amazing.
It is amazing. And the mothers of their children everywhere, it's mothers and children everywhere you look, running around with their children, running with them, and beautifully dressed and off doing shopping or whatever it is. I'm telling you, I'm used to seeing that kind of thing where, small children with their mom running about. And, it was just terrific. I mean, the whole thing is a scam. The scam, there's Moscow, that you're looking at it. The whole thing about Russia, from what I can see, Moscow, and excuse my language,
it's okay.
Russia is an incredibly beautiful place. The food is unbelievably good. um, and the prices are like a third of what you pay in the US, which I do believe I understand that because also here in South Africa, food is cheaper. It's about the same price as food in South Africa. And but quality, really quality food. And I can't think of a single thing that I could say about Moscow that would be bad. I can't think of anything.
Well, that's was Tucker's point that Senator Ted Cruz attacked last week. He said, "Oh, you're a Russian agent." He said, "No, I just went there. We're being screwed by inflation. We're being screwed by all these wars, globalism, and we're told this is so horrible." But it's like it's the converse of how Yeltsin comes here in 1990 and cries when he sees all the food because they were literally in food lines, couldn't even get stale bread. And then now it's flipping the other way. And Americans should see this. They should know this.
Yes. Well, I can't imagine what Tucker was talking about. Although if I look back to the DDR in those days, but I stayed in the DDR for about a week, and the food and everything, it was reasonable. It was just a bit tatty in those days, the DDR. I didn't see the people, oddly enough, I'm talking about the East German Republic in the 80s, was quite, the people were very happy. That's the one thing I noticed. They were always smiling. And for some reason, I don't know, but now in Russia, coming back to Russia now, the people were incredibly kind. And they would rush up to a person if they recognized me and say, without any sort of shyness or anything, they say, oh, I'd like my photo with you and all that sort of thing. And a lot of them speak English, which helps a lot because and not only that, many of them speak like 4 languages, which is quite amazing. And I can't say enough about it. The thing about Russia is a lie. It's a big lie.
Incredible. I just want to give you the floor and invite you back again. We've still got like 40 minutes left here. Errol Musk, very interesting person, obviously. But I want to ask you this question. This is a wild card. Werner von Braun wrote a book about somebody that from the world, the Earth, that sends messages to Mars, builds a colony, and becomes the leader of Mars, named Elon. And then you've got your son. You're wearing your Occupy Mars shirt. Was there any connection, or did you read that novel, or why did you name him Elon? And it's just very interesting twist of fate that his name's Elon, and he's already kind of known as the King of Mars.
Well, yes. When I was a young boy of about 12, 13, I was on the Moonwatch team for American Satellites, and we had a man who lectured us or mentored us or looked after us. Jack Bennett, he actually had a comet named after him later on. And he would read us these books by Werner von Braun and Professor Oberst. The books were written by 2 people, Werner von Braun and Professor Oberst. And Professor Oberst was Werner von Braun's teacher. And then the books were in German, but there were a lot of illustrations, color illustrations about, showing you rockets on Mars and all sorts of stuff. And yes, I did see all that stuff, and I did see the term Elon. And when my child was, when my son was born, something happened which was quite odd. In the family on his mother's side, there was somebody by the name of Elon Haldeman, and that's some grandfather or something. So I remember the name Elon, and then I said, oh, well, I'd like him to be called Elon. So that is the connection.
Wow. And then he is the guy with the total focus. Is his heart? You're super interested. You're talking about your son. The media tries to say there's this big giant wedge and all this stuff. Every time I see you say great things about your son, obviously you've got to be extremely proud. You got a lot of other children as well. What is it like as a father to see not as one of the most famous people alive today? I think if we can look back over time, even ask the ancients, if we can look at everybody in history, your son's in the top 10 most interesting people ever. What's that like as a father?
Well, it's great. I mean, we've all tried, in the family, all the males in the family, we all think we sort of generals, and we all, so we're like very independent kind of guys, very, I suppose the term is, upstarts or something. And but it's great to see what Elon has managed.
I think the word's
and what he's
maverick.
managed.
Maverick does his own thing, but
Maverick.
but an
Maverick,
upstart's not
that's
always
good.
successful. You're saying mavericks.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. It's called Maverick. And Elon is. We are a family of sort of mavericks, and we all think we know better, which is not good. But we are. So as far as Elon's concerned, and Kimmel, he's also broken so many milestones. I mean, my younger son as well, and my daughter, she's got her own film studio making movies called Passion Flix. It's like Netflix, but it's Passion Flix. She makes full-length movies. She owns the whole operation. It's quite amazing. So, yeah, my kids are proud is not the right word. They are very pleasing to me.
Satisfying.
Satisfying, yeah. Yeah. Yes.
Well, we need more people like them, like Trump said.
Oh, we need more people like you, Alex.
Well, I'm trying. There's so much to talk about. So you're very optimistic about the future of humanity. You think we're taking the right fork in the road, to use your son's parlance?
Yes, definitely.
Why else are you optimistic, Errol?
Well, here in Africa, where I'm sitting at the moment, I travel a lot, so I'm out of the country a lot of the time for what it's worth, but I am in South Africa at the moment. Most of or nearly all the African countries around me have contacted me saying they want to be aligned with Donald Trump. That's in the last, say, 5 months, 6 months, or 4 or 5 months. They've contacted me, written to me, phoned me, spoken to me on telephone, WhatsApp, Zoomed with me,
Signal, all of it,
and all that sort of thing. They want to align with Trump. That's from the DRC, Mozambique, Botswana. I don't know if you know these countries, Namibia, and so on. The only country that's is a troublesome country is South Africa, where the black government is, dead set against doing anything that is in the interests of the US. So, but all the other African countries, the president of the DRC said to me a few months ago, he phoned me, he said, please help us become aligned with Trump, which I did. I sent letters and everything there to the Trump people. And he said, this is what he said, the president of the DRC, he said to me, Trump's a believer and I'm a believer, and that's enough for me, which I thought was a very nice thing to say,
Well, they obviously want to innovate. They want into the West, just like, and they understand its optimism. Yes. And then South Africa is a Soros globalist enclave trying to steal the wealth. Yes. But the Africans, on average, absolutely know Trump's a change, and they're like, hey, and they say Trump does want everybody to flourish, and so they're like, hey, and Africa's so rich, imagine. That's one big mistake Trump made, was making the joke about, we'll annex Canada, and he helped the globalists win there. Carney's a bad guy. No, Canada wanted to align with us. I get the joke, but that's one of the few things that backfired. The world, just look at all the trade deals. Everybody swung to us overnight. They want a new system.
Yes. Oh, yes. And Mozambique contacted me. They said all our harbors, all our airfields, all our minerals, whatever the U.S. wants, we want the U.S. to have it. And, I sent all this information over to the State Department there and everything. I hope they respond. And I know they have recently this week responded with the DRC, Democratic Republic of Congo. And so, yes, no, definitely a lot of places are waking up. South Africa is a problem.
By the way, Aaron, let me interrupt you. It's funny you say this. I get contacted by a lot of governments that don't really respond. I've had the president of the Congo contact me saying this. I just forgot Monday saying the same thing. So they really want in.
Oh, okay. Yes, that's right. That would be, that's right. Yeah.
Sorry, yeah. I interrupted you.
So they want in.
Go back. I interrupted you. You said it.
I was just saying that the problem is here in South Africa, we have a sort of renegade government here that does not care about the people, their own black people. They don't care. They only care about a few hundred insiders that are well looked after, and the rest of the country's, sort of ambling along, trying to survive. South Africa is probably at the worst place it's ever been. People are happy. At least they're not. There's no racism here. There's absolutely no racism in South Africa. So that's a good thing. You never see a racist incident here. But at the same time, the people are on their knees when it comes to finance and income. We've got 63. One of the big organizations here that does this kind of thing. They worked out there's 63 million people in South Africa, but only 7 million people have a job. So that gives you, some idea of the situation. It's
what
really
is that?
not
80
good at
plus
all.
percent unemployment.
Yeah, about 80% unemployed. Yeah.
I was going to raise South Africa because I've never been there, but I've studied it. My wife did some college here for a year. She said there wasn't even a lot of racism then. And the average American, white or black, literally thinks like Nazis running. And that I saw black leaders going, these South African farmers coming here better not call me the N-word. I mean, they don't even know. It's just crazy.
No, there's no racism. The racism here, South African white people, oddly enough, get on very well with black people. It's my experience. We get on very well together. We understand each other very well. We work together. We employ. Most people employ a lot of black people. I certainly did, and we get on very well. There's never really been a major
unless
issue.
it's the communists. I mean, there is the kill the Boer group. There's that group.
Yeah, yes, but that's the government group. They are
using racial control. Incredible. Errol Musk, 4-minute break. We're honored to have you. I want you to come back again, but we got 30 more minutes. Stay right there. You're literally reading my mind. Every time I'm about to ask questions, you bring it up first. So I can't wait to hear what you're going to say next. Errol Musk, be sure and follow him on X. Errol_Musk, the father of the great Elon Musk. This is amazing. Stay with us.
It's almost poetic, the products that we sell, because yes, they are the best. Yes, it is the best price for the highest quality. Yes, they are third-party tested. It's almost poetic because as we advocate for humanity, what we sell to you is that which makes you allows you to make yourself a better version.
There's a ship all the way from the river. You can hear it. That's amazing how you can hear a ship.
Folks, we're about ready to go into an artificial intelligence war, into a space war, the likes of which humanity couldn't even dream of, even in science fiction. So please go to thealexjonesstory.com right now, not just for your mind and your body, but for your species.
Ultimate Life Force. That's the name of the new product. This is all the major best-selling certified safe formulas and integrating it into just a massive daily dose. And it isn't just to clean out your blood. It is so good for your whole body. It's got 400 milligrams of NAC alone. That is the precursor to glutathione and just does incredible things for your whole body. Not just that, the energy, the stamina, all of it. Ladies and gentlemen, we're so excited about this formula. I don't have time to get into all the other great ingredients in it. Go to thealexjonesstore.com right now and check it out for yourself. This is so game-changing. Lesser formulas have already helped so many people that I've personally bought them for. We've given them to friends and family. This is amazing. Get yours now at thealexjonesstore.com. 50% off. Triple grade USP ultramethylene blue exclusively at thealexjonesstore.com has taken the country by storm. You've seen the rave reviews. All of our guests that have taken it have been blown away. Zen, clarity, focus like a fog has lifted. It's not a stimulant, but it feels like one with no letdown. But the best part is it's so good for your cells, so good for your mitochondria. It's incredible. Now we have it in sealed capsules with organic vitamin C to supercharge it as well. Get a 1-month supply so you can travel with it. Talk to your physician before you take it because it's very, very powerful. Interact with some drugs. But after you've done your research, Get your ultramethylene blue either in liquid or now in capsules exclusively at thealexjonesstore.com and at Bunzer Operations. And if you subscribe, you can lock in 50% off right now on all future orders and cancel anytime. Take action now at thealexjonesstore.com. Become a subscriber and lock in 50% off on top of the already incredible savings. Thealexjonesstore.com is the destination of health, liberty, and freedom. Anybody who's halfway informed about health and vitality knows that turmeric is one of the top super nutrients in the world. Concentrated turmeric is what you want. Most turmeric pills are 4%, that's raw. This is the strongest, 95% humanoid with a bunch of other concentrated super nutrients like ginger and black pepper dye. And it's finally back in stock. Ultimate turmeric gummies at thealexjonesstore.com. Just go see what Robert F. Kennedy Jr. says about turmeric. And this
You're at the Wright Square.
is the Godzilla of turmeric. And it funds the InfoWar. And while you're at thealexjonesstore.com, be sure to check out the widest selection anywhere of Patriot 1776 Part 2. Incredible clothing, ball caps, t-shirts, hoodies. It's all there, like this baby. Second American Revolution at thealexjonesstore.com, and you're funding the tip of the spear in the Second American Revolution when you support us, so I thank and salute you all. Now take action at thealexjonesstore.com.
Leading a frontal assault on the lies of the New World Order, it's Alex Jones. Live from the Infowars.com studios, it's Alex Jones.
You keep saying you got something for me.
You know, I knew about Errol Musk, but never actually read his bio. This guy's like a champion sharpshooter in like military competitions, armored car leader, officer commanding the 19th Electronic Warfare, and it just goes on and on. IBM programmer, electrical engineer. It would take an hour to go over all this. Well, we can see what the genes are doing here with his sons and daughter and all their successes. You were finishing up on South Africa and the state of it, and from South Africans I know, they say there's very little anti-white black stuff except the communists, the government, and these gangs they support. I don't mean to bring up a negative point, but it just shows the level of violence that the left and media tried to cover up, and the government chanting with hundreds of thousands of sports stadiums, kill the African farmers, and then saying, "Oh God, don't move any of them here." You know, they're gonna be racist. But Elon Musk's dad killed 3 men who would have murdered 6-year-old daughter and boiled her head, which is what they do. So you say it's rare, but it's this group. Who is that? And the fact that you had to do this back in 1998, just a brief story on that, just to show that what's going on in South Africa, that the leftist media tries to cover up, and how could South Africa be reformed with such a wealthy, amazing culture and brought back from the brink of total collapse?
Yes. Well, yeah, that's actually, yeah, that's true. That's what happened. You know, not happy about it, but that's what happened, yes.
Well, it wasn't a gotcha. I mean,
yeah.
we know that what the violence, I mean, it's mainly black on black, but it's also, I mean, massive amounts of whites being, you know, hunted down, killed on their property. Just as an example, it was like at the White House a few months ago when they had the South African leader there that's openly saying we're going to take the whites' land, not give them compensation, tells Trump he didn't do it. We had the video of it a year ago, and then he points at white South Africans administration, goes, "Right, tell them there's no violence." They're like, "Well, actually, they try to kill us and our families all the time." And so, as a microcosm, here's Errol Musk having to defend, you know, so, I mean, how bad is it?
Well, you know, the real problem is that we don't have a police force anymore. We used to have a good government departments in this country, you know, all round, well-run country. But now we don't really have proper government departments. We don't have an airline. We don't have railways. We have the worst ports in the world. We have no health system, no health care. We have no, the education system has collapsed. You know, so one of the bad things is that the police force doesn't exist anymore. So there's no law and order. You know, there's no one to protect anyone. So unless you happen to live in a place like where I live, which is, we are sort of a more, not necessarily just a white area, but we are a mixed race area, but it's an organized area, and we have private we have 3 private police forces that people all pay in to have here. The real police don't exist anymore. So if you, for example, if your house is broken into or if your car is stolen in South Africa, you don't go to the police because there's no one to go to. They just don't exist. And so
which is what the left does all over the world, defunding the police. This is part of a methodology, in my view.
Yes. Yeah, they defund it, and they pay the police like $50 a month. So nobody wants to work for the police anyway. But really, $50 a month. Can you believe it? US dollars a month, I mean. And so that's the situation that we've got. And so a lot of the people who are on farms and in remote areas, unless they are well armed, they're in big trouble. You have to sit with your weapons on your lap every day, every night. You have to sit with your weapons on your lap. I have had to do that many a time. And
Errol, I didn't bring that up as a gotcha. I didn't even know that. The crew just hands me articles, and wow, and I didn't know you're like a top champion sharpshooter. So I guess that was a bad deal. It's just so interesting. I know you're sad about it. You're not happy about it. You're a humanitarian, as your bio shows. But briefly, what was the story? What happened?
Well, I had a home on a farm I had 2 homes on a farm, 2 houses on a farm that I rented out to people near the city called Johannesburg. And I was between tenants on the one property, and I was having it painted out. And I went one evening with my 6-year-old daughter, and to see how they were getting on, the painters, and luckily put all the lights on to see, because it was towards winter, it was a bit dark, getting dark quite early. And so I got there about 5 in the evening, and the painters left. My daughter and I were left, and my daughter wanted to run a bath. We used to live in that place, and she decided, 6-year-old, she's going to have a bath there. So I sort of let her
do it. That's what they do, absolutely. I have an 8-year-old right now. Yeah, she loves it. I'm taking a bath.
Sorry?
I have an 8-year-old daughter. Daughter's like, I'm taking a bath. They just decide to do it, yeah.
Yeah, anyway. Yeah, so then I heard something in the lounge, a big ranch-style house. And then I went up, I left my revolver in the bathroom with her, and then I went up to the lounge, and I found 7 or 8 guys there, and they just started shooting at me, just straight off. They just didn't hesitate, just started shooting at me. And I ducked, I ran back to the bathroom in the main bedroom, and I managed to get my revolver, and as I came down the passage, I took him out,
Wow. So I was reading here, you were like basically a national champion shooter. Tell us about that.
No, in the military, I
doing a lot of like information.
I won the South African Defence Force Shooting Championships over a period of a week, from handguns to cannons, So
by the way, that's well known that South Africans are some of the best soldiers. That's quite the accomplishment.
I used to DJ.
Oh yeah. No. I mean, that particular competition, I've been in quite a few competitions, but I won that one.
New England.
That was a big one, and I was separated from the guy behind me by about 2 points out of 2,000. So, I might have had 1,792, and the next guy behind me was 1,790. So it wasn't like I was way ahead of anybody, I was just lucky.
We were scared the last 4 years under Biden.
Like? I bet that was amazing.
After COVID,
COVID
hit us and scared everyone.
I got a medal recommendation and all sorts of things like that. I was quite successful in the military. I was in the military for 11 years, and I was quite successful. And I was a unit commander for quite a long time of 19 electronic warfare.
Oh, you want this back?
Yeah.
Wow.
And I used to be in the
enjoy.
I was in the armored cars, and then they started a new unit called electronic warfare, and as I was an electrical engineer, they asked me if I would transfer, and so I said sure. So I transferred to electronic warfare, and I learned a lot of things there. I really learned a lot, but it was in the 70s, so technology wasn't what it is today, but we were already able at that time to use a lot of things that later on became quite common. Cameras, certain kinds of cameras, video cameras that weren't normally just available to the public. So it was nice. It was quite interesting. I enjoyed it.
Well, too bad for those guys. I guess you got 3 of the 6, but I guess they ran into the wrong guy, huh?
Yeah, I'm not happy about that. I think of it as somebody's child, or something like that.
Well, I'm happy though you and your daughter didn't get killed though.
Well, the police said to me afterwards that if they had killed me, they would have, they would have used her for medicine, for muti, what they call muti, where they eat her, And
if people don't know, a lot of places in Africa, especially central and southern, there's a big thing about eating children. That's a,
Yeah, well, it goes back thousands of years, I suppose. Into the past, people, had all these sort of weird beliefs and things, and it's still here. So they still have it.
Yeah,
here,
albinos don't fare very well in Africa, do they? I think they're magics. They really want to eat them.
Well, apparently, if if you eat something like off the child or something, then you've got magic powers. You've got magic powers. I don't know.
Isn't that a big problem in South Africa? They want to rape a baby if you have AIDS, right? They think it cures you.
Yes, they did. That was the thing. If you rape a baby a while back, 15 years ago or 20 years ago, then you're cured of AIDS. That kind of thing. It's pretty weird.
Well, I would imagine, and aren't you kind of Dutch background, some?
Yes, I'm about 2/3 Dutch, 1/3 English. And, I'm very proud of my Dutch background. Very proud of it. Very good people.
Definitely the best farmers in the world.
Oh, yes. No, the best farmers. And sending them to you is great for you guys, not so great for us. In fact, when I was in Russia, I realized the place for these Dutch farmers to go to is Russia, because they would really prosper in Russia.
Take like a duck to water. Yeah, Putin has a giant, for 8 years now, organic food initiative to be the biggest in the world. They are now the biggest producer and exporter of organic food. Maybe why the Russians look so healthy. But I can talk to you for 10 hours. You got to come back again soon. We'll do a commercial free. We only got like 14 minutes left. I've been asked a lot of questions, sir. AI, space travel, the future of humanity. You've got the floor to address us for the next 14 minutes. I'm going to be quiet.
Well, what I spoke about the future was there are 4 things that I spoke about at the Forum of the Future in Moscow, which, by the way, was described as a far-right conference, but I didn't see what was far-right about it. We spoke about increasing living space for families, and we spoke about the dwindling population of the European populations, which is very worrying. Like Italy has a replacement factor of 1.3, which is kind of over the top low. I mean, it's terrible. Anyway, I spoke about longevity. I spoke about space-time travel. I spoke about gravity. I spoke about fusion. As far as longevity is concerned, longevity is the length of a human life, supposedly. What the longevity is of a human life. Now, before
life
the First
extension
World
is
War,
what the globalists is their whole secret project. They're obsessed with. I said I wouldn't interrupt, but yeah, that's the big secret is life extension.
yes. So there's an enormous amount of work being done, successful work, amazing things happening, especially in the United States, and a lot of it's being led by China, by scientists in China, and they all work very closely with the people in California. They work like, hand in glove with each other. And I was at the longevity clinics in California, and when I was there, I was actually at a clinic, and I said I remember reading about at this particular clinic, a longevity clinic. I said I remember reading about Dr. Craig Venter, who actually mapped the first genome, and they said to me, well, if you turn around, he's standing right behind you.
Wow.
So I turned around and there's this guy, and he mapped the first genome. So with longevity, what they can do now is, first of all, let me say that before the First World War, the average lifespan of a European woman was 39. So you were likely to die up to around about coming up to 39, or just after 39, around about 39. And it's now, at this time, it's something like 87. So it's more than double the longevity or the lifespan expectancy of a European woman. And so this is clearly a lot of things have happened. Of course, before the First World War, people were living on potatoes. They ate potatoes for breakfast, lunch, and supper. And so we've changed things in the world so much in the last 100 years. And you can walk into a convenience store and buy vitamins now. I mean, you can go into your quick shop at the gas station and buy vitamins, and that's really great. And so the idea of the longevity people, and these are all guys with masses of qualifications, they're all doctors, PhDs and double PhDs and all that sort of stuff, and they are saying that the length of a human life should be about 120 years, and that this is what they are aiming at.
And that's not pie in the sky. That's what the telomeres show.
Yes. Anyway, so this is quite interesting. And so this week, the clinic in California contacted me earlier this week to say, would I be? They've done one guy, Dana Wright or something, and would I be interested in being a free? I could get this treatment free, or what are they going to do? They're going to look after me because they figure that
a test subject.
Yeah, they can make me a test subject. They asked me if I want to, and they were very nice about it. They've been incredibly nice people, and they're in Palo Alto, and so they asked me if I would be a test subject this week because they figure that I should be able to live to 120. So I said that's really nice of you, but I haven't quite said yes yet, but they haven't pushed me yet. But I probably will go over there shortly and speak to them. But anyway, the idea is that you can have your genome mapped, and in China today, you can have your genome mapped for $100. In LA, in San Francisco, it's $1,000, which is quite a lot. But in this country, it's about $2,000, so that's a lot. But
I had mine mapped by one place, and for like 5,000 6 years ago. There was like 1,000 last year. And literally, it was the same thing for two different companies. And I did what they said. They could tell what I was absorbing, what I wasn't. Changed my life. People say, "Why I lose so much weight?" All this. A biggest thing was I did what the genomic thing said. It was all just supplements. It's amazing.
Yes.
It's amazing.
Yes. Well, you look terrific,
Like,
and you really look good. But anyway, so that's the same thing that I'm talking about. And so they want you to start your genome mapping at the age of 14. They say people should start at the age of 14, and then they can see what you're predisposed to and all that sort of stuff. So that's longevity. And then I also spoke recently about gravity. The fact that we go to the movies and we see vehicles, in these modern movies, moving about in the sky, going up vertically and going up to the space station, or floating about around the skyscrapers, and we just take it for granted. Well, that's never going to happen unless we can conquer or understand or use gravity for our own purposes. And so,
well, the word is, Trump's talked about that. They've conquered that. He's had his head scientist say that. Do you think that's hype or true? I've heard from my Pentagon sources they've got gravitational control now.
Well, I don't know about that. If they have, they will become that will be the most powerful country in the world. If they manage to do that. Because
Elon won't need 33 or 36 booster rockets to get payloads into space.
No. And that's the whole point. As I said to Elon, rockets have their uses, but in my opinion, traveling in a little capsule for a few months or 6 months or 18 months or whatever it is between Earth and Mars, forget it. People can barely go across the Atlantic in a little boat without wanting to kill each other. They just crack. Because the dangers and the daily monotony and the daily
with gravitational control, we can literally have a whole city built and just launch it.
Well, anyway, so coming back to gravity, if we have to start now, 100 years ago, the mathematicians 100 years ago, around the time of Einstein, Minkowski, and the various ones, Hardy, in those days, they were all talking about and writing paper after paper on space-time travel and overcoming gravity. And for some reason, and there's hundreds of these papers, and this was 100 years ago, and for some reason it was all laid by the side and left and not worried about. And we need to get back to that. Whether the secret government departments are doing it, I don't know, but we need to get back to that. We need to. It needs to be done by private enterprise. Then it's probably done. And once we do that, then space-time travel would be moving from Earth to Mars in an instant. If you don't travel through space, you travel through space-time, which is different. So we talk about light leaving a star far away, and it comes to us after 4 years or after 1,000,000 years, this little photon of light, and it leaves the star and it battles its way through space, according to the scientists, and it goes for 1,000,000 years, and then it bounces.
So you're talking
onto
about
the
you're
Earth.
talking about full space, and just to be clear, Max Planck in the 1880s created the equations for atomic weapons that would later pick up and done. So what you're saying is true. They have the computations. This is doable. So why did it get frozen and shut down? Because it's disruptive technology by the elites. Clearly, in the equations for atomic weapons.
I'm alarmed about AI that they're trying to push. AI, and we call it technocracy, which will eliminate the Republican and the Democrat, and just to have AI in control. And so the worst. No, I just do like a soldier of God. I try to worship the creator rather than the creation.
What I'm going to tell you now sounds absolutely impossible to believe.
I fight every day. I'm fighting out here on the street. Trying to get this spiritual battle, we call it.
You're against AI.
Against AI. We believe it's the beast.
It is.
Yeah. I don't want the mark. I don't want children to have to take the mark.
It is, but I still don't know who is the main person behind it.
It seems Trump's on board, unfortunately, day one.
That's why I've been politics.
I thought he was going to defeat the deep state, but he's as deep as it gets.
Well, in 1900 they said also.
We're hoping, just more people aware, and they can't pull the triggers.
That was in 1900. But anyway.
Yeah, it's info-war.
So, before 1905, the idea was that the sun is a big lump of coal. And if you wrote your examinations at the university, you were supposed to say, when they asked you what the sun is, you were supposed to say, it's a big lump of coal. And then you got a mark. You got a tick. And anyway, then along comes a guy who couldn't get a job as a lecturer because he only had a second-class university pass in physics. And he got a job at a patent office, and he had plenty of spare time.
Einstein.
So he started using these. Yes, he started thinking about it, and he worked out. He wrote up this 2 pages. Then he took it to